Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sunset Salutations. I'm so happy to be on the mat with you today, on the cushion. We're going to start with an opening from 10% Happier by Dan Harris. When we last checked in with him, he was reading Eckhart Tolle's book and finding great passages as well as passages that triggered great skepticism within him. He is now reading a new author from his wife's suggestion. In her hands, she had a pair of books written by someone named Dr. Mark Epstein. Thus began another night of delayed sleep and revelatory reading, with Bianca quietly dozing by my side. It was like my first evening with Tolle, only less embarrassing. What I found in the pages of Epstein's book was thunderously satisfying, like scratching an itch in an unreachable area. Like finally figuring out why Luke Skywalker and Prince Leia's sexual tension never felt right. Very quickly, it became blazingly clear. The best parts of Tolle were largely unattributed Buddhism. In Epstein's writing, it was all there. The insatiable wanting, the inability to be present, the repetitive, relentlessly self-referential thinking. Here was everything that fascinated me about Tolle, without the pseudoscience and grandiloquence. To boot, the good doctor could actually write. We are constantly murmuring, muttering, scheming, or wondering to ourselves under our breath, wrote Epstein. I like this. I don't like that. She hurt me. How can I get that? More of this, no more of that. Much of our inner dialogue is this constant reaction to experience by a selfish, childish protagonist. None of us has moved very far from the 7-year-old who vigilantly watches to see who got more. There were also delightful passages about the human tendency to lurch headlong from one pleasurable experience to the next without ever achieving satisfaction. Epstein totally nailed my habit of hunting around my plate for the next bite before I'd tasted what was in my mouth. As he described it, I do not want to experience the fading of the flavor, the colorless, cottony pulp that succeeds that spectacular burst over my taste buds. Epstein made clear that you didn't have to be a Buddhist to derive benefit from Buddhism. The Buddha himself didn't claim to be a god or a prophet. He specifically told people not to adopt any of his teachings until they'd test-driven the material themselves. So what exactly was this not-quite religion that could purportedly do a better job of salving the tortured soul? As best I could understand it, the Buddha's main thesis was that in a world where everything is constantly changing, we suffer because we cling to things that won't last. A central theme of the Buddhist Dharma, which roughly translates to teaching, revolved around the very word that had been wafting through my consciousness when I used to lie on my office couch, pondering the unpredictability of television news. Impermanence. The Buddha embraced an often overlooked truism. Nothing lasts, including us. We and everyone we love will die. Fame fizzles, beauty fades, continent shifts. Pharaohs are swallowed by emperors who fall to sultans, kings, kaisers, and presidents. And it all plays out against the backdrop of an infinite universe in which our bodies are made up of atoms from the very first exploding stars. We may know this intellectually, but on an emotional level, we seem to be hardwired for denial. We suffer because we get attached to people and possessions that ultimately evaporate. When we lose our hair, when we can no longer score the hit of adrenaline from a war zone, we grow anxious and make bad decisions. The route to true happiness, he argued, was to achieve a visceral understanding of impermanence, which would take you off the emotional roller coaster and allow you to see your dramas and desires through a wider lens. Waking up to the reality of our situation allows you to, as the Buddhists say, let go, to drop your attachments. As one Buddhist writer put it, the key is to recognize the wisdom of insecurity. That phrase, the wisdom of insecurity, really struck me. It was the perfect rejoinder to my price of security motto. It made me see my work worries in an entirely different light. If there was no such thing as security, then why bother with the insecurity? I'd come to notice in myself a comparing mind and a wanting mind. They had a term for that thing I did where something would bother me and I would immediately project forward to an unpleasant future, e.g., balding, unemployment, flophouse. The Buddhists called this prapancha, which roughly translates to proliferation or the imperialistic tendency of mind. That captured it beautifully. Something happens, I worry, and that concern instantaneously colonizes my future. My favorite Buddhist catchphrase, however, was the one they used to describe the churning of the ego, monkey mind. I have always been a sucker for animal metaphors, and I thought this one was perfect. Our minds are like furry little gibbons, always agitated, never at rest. There were things I did not get. If Buddhism was about being happier, why was the Buddha's signature declaration, life is suffering? It was possible to achieve the end of suffering to reach nirvana, according to Buddhists. My hitherto haphazard quest suddenly felt infinitely more directed. So many exciting discoveries in that passage. The differentiation between the comparing mind and the wanting mind and coming to understand the ego and the monkey mind is a journey that can really aid us as we are pursuing everyday mindfulness. Let's begin from there. I'm going to move my cushion aside here. I'm going to find myself on all fours, and I'm going to take a deep breath in, just stabilizing myself here, making sure that my fingers are wide against the mat. Deep breath in. And deep breath out. Good. Now I want to do a quick check-in and make sure that I have 90-degree relationship between my knees and my hips. Good. And my wrist and my shoulder. Excellent. From here, I'm going to pick up my ankles towards my knees. Good. And just hold this for a moment. Really flexing the foot. Good. Now put them down on the run. Good. I'm just going to push back, stretching into my feet. Excellent. You can see that I'm still engaged all the way through the arm. And I'm feeling the relaxation and the stretch going through the ball of my foot. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Excellent. Coming up and forward. I'm going to sit on my feet now, shooting my hands in front of me. Excellent. And I'm going to tent my hands, pull my shoulders back. Good. Deep breath in. Pushing myself fully, the weight all the way into my hips. Great. I'm going to find prayer at the top of my head. Breathing into my upper back here. And releasing on my exhale. Good. Placing my left hand with wide fingers towards the middle of my mat. I'm going to pull my shoulder down my back, bind my elbow around the same level as my face, and I'm going to take a deep breath in and extend all the way up to the ceiling, finding a beautiful twist here. Deep breath. Good. And meeting the palms back together, finding my elbow about in line. Deep breath in and twisting open. Awesome. And from here, we're going to walk our hands all the way forward and placing our elbows down. Good. We're just going to try to find A nice arch in the spine here. Good. Rolling those shoulders back. Excellent. And tilting all the way up, looking for our belly button. My knees are just about mat width apart. Deep breath in, looking up towards the sky. And exhale, looking down. Deep breath in, looking up towards the sky. And exhale down. Look for the belly button. Excellent here. Sitting into your child's pose. Releasing the tempo of your normal day. Creating space between each breath. Offering yourself time here. Good. And we're going to come up now. I'm going to grab my cushion. We're going to find our seat and we will begin. Remember, as you are grabbing your cushion and getting ready for meditation proper here, that it's okay to take some time to really find your seat. Good. And if at any point in this practice you find yourself uncomfortable, know that that's part of all of this. So if it becomes unbearable and you're feeling tension and you need to adjust, of course, be generous with yourself and find the time and energy to do that. But part of what we're training with mindfulness is to be able to note discomfort and disconnect from it. So if you do feel an itch, or if you do notice that the way that you took your dignified posture today may not be the most comfortable version of sitting, try to find a way to focus on the breath rather than focus on reacting. Great. Let's begin. Allow your eyes to close. Find a long spine. Start at the base, all the way down by the tailbone. And think about creating just little air pockets all the way through a straight spine until it meets your skull. If you notice any tension between your neck and your shoulders, allow yourself a moment to let it go. Shift your focus to the breath. If you find it helpful to utilize a mantra, try breathing in, I am peaceful. Try breathing out, I am at ease. Breathing in, I am peaceful. Breathing out, I am at ease. Remember that breathing happens without any energy. There's no need to force the breath. You are just here to observe it and to note where you are. If at any point you find your mind wandering, the ego fascinating itself on one idea or the next, without judgment. Return completely to the breath. Find focus. When you're ready, allow the mind to wander. Release focus on the mantra and on your breath. Simply notice while the mind explores. Come back now. Find yourself fully in the room. Notice the feeling of your palms against your knees, your seat against your cushion. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes and allow the eyes to open. It's at this time of the practice that I really enjoy lying down on the mat, resting on my side. Offer yourself the generosity of finding a few minutes here. Thank you so much for joining me for Sunset Salutations. I look forward to seeing you in the present.